Today we're going to be walking through a checklist type thing to help you be ready for what comes next so that we don't get into too much emotional pain and we don't overextend ourselves into a place of excessive vulnerability and then you're burned out again. I am surprised at how long this process takes compared to what they implied in graduate school. And even when I worked at LDS Family Services, there was this, you should be able to get most of the work done in 12 weeks. Now that I've worked with real humans instead of textbooks, I'm all, there is no way you're going to take a seriously catastrophized relationship and get it fixed in 12 weeks. Before you enter season 1, have you recently reviewed, revised, and recommitted to your marital mission statement? This is something he will have needed to have done also. So think of yourselves, if you're attempting to take off into the relationship, you have 2 copies of this list, one for him, one for you. Both of you must check every box before you can try going into season 1. And yes, don't be surprised if you hear in your head, this could take forever, because it could take forever. But if you try to build a bridge on top of 2 wobbly piers, it's going to fall in the river anyway. You can do all this marital work and it will crash anyway if you don't have these things in place. The thing that goes with this as well is your personal identity statement. Have you reviewed, revised, and recommitted to the ideal version of you? I know that lots of things talk about, well, what about him? We're not going to be creating a blueprint for him. We're going to leave the responsibility of him becoming a good man on his shoulders. Are you adequately healed from your previous injuries? We assume if you're in this meeting that you have been hurt. Unfortunately, it's statistically likely for all women to be hurt even before they get a husband. Most women are hurt in some ways before they're 10 years old, before they finish high school. Notice it says adequately healed. You are not going to be completely healed, and your husband is not your healer. This is a vital concept. Your husband does not have the skill, the power. Now, he can impact your greenhouse, and he can disrupt it, and that's what brings us to the next one. Are you adequately safe? Has this person you're considering returning to a relationship with become adequately safe? He is a human male. He will never be perfectly safe. I strongly recommend you look over the 5 steps to rebuilding trust, but you also must check yourselves, ladies. I know you have a right to your feelings and you have a right to be hurt, but you do not have a right to hurt someone back any more than you would teach your children to do so. Would you ever teach your daughters, when someone hurts you, make sure you hurt them back? Protect yourself, withdraw to a safe distance, think about what you would teach your daughters. Under certain circumstances, if you're cornered, then you might have to pull your claws out, but let's next time strategize how you can avoid getting cornered. Are you well connected to a safety and rejuvenation line with God? If things get bad, I need to be able to rejuvenate from a source that will actually help me rejuvenate. Do not rely on a human man to help you rejuvenate or to bring you the sensation of safety if he hasn't gained that skill yet. This one's very hard. Are you ready to give instead of receive? If you still need something from him for you to maintain sanity, then you're not ready to enter season 1. If you're too depleted, if you're too empty, if you're too drained, that's not a sin. Think of the 3-degree burn victim scenario. If you're medically needing to be in a hospital bed and recovering, then you are not in a position to make a sandwich for anybody for lunch. And that's medically appropriate. It's courteous to say, I'm medically not ready to do anything for you because of my condition of insufficient recovery, so I'm not going to be able to come home and make a sandwich for you while I'm in the 3-degree burn unit. Do you have your alarms in place? One of the mistakes I see women making is they're so forgiving, they're trying so hard to be adaptable that they get burned trying to be flexible. Get your alarms in place and say, this is getting dangerous. I'm starting to lose it. He's starting to lose it. This is becoming scary. And then do you have a dignified retreat plan in place? You don't want to stimulate defensiveness. You don't want to stimulate an attack on the other person. So there's lots of ways that you should have a right to say it. Like, you know what? You're becoming scary. You're becoming angry. You're becoming, if you describe them, it's not going to be the best way to handle the situation. Even if it's true, your safety is the priority. My favorite thing is, I'm losing my ability to handle this conversation correctly. That can be easily the truth. You're getting scary and I'm losing my ability to handle this conversation correctly.
I'm starting to feel a lot of strong emotions and I need to take a break.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm not able to continue this conversation right now. We're going to need to revisit this later.
Perfect. So notice how those are not blaming of the other person. Are you feeling courageous? This is a vital one with respect to if you're psychologically depleted to the point where you don't have any courage, then don't proceed. Courage is when it's worth it to try again, but it's still scary? Are you feeling psychologically fortified? If you're feeling psychologically drained and empty, do not try to go into season 1. Are you feeling charity? Pull out the 1 Corinthians 13 checklist. You don't have to be perfect at it, but you have to be leaning in that direction. If you are not leaning into charity, then do not try season 1. If you're feeling merciful or not, but not like a doormat, I'm ready to give him some space, but I'm not ready for him to walk all over me. If he's likely to walk all over you, don't try season 1. Are you free of addictions and the accompanying leftover residual behaviors? Leftovers are things like misrepresenting the truth, quick to anger, quick to blame, anything that goes along with having an addiction. This is an overlapping concept. No anger, blame, impatience, or resentment. Now, this one is for you, ladies. You might not show anger like he does, but if you're still angry and it's percolating in your chest, you're not ready for season 1, even if it's his fault. If you still got a lot of resentment inside of you that is unresolved, even if he deserves it, you're not ready for season 1. You can look up John Gottman's 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. He elaborates even more. If any of those 4 things are present, you're not going to be able to do any season 1 work. And then because every time you try season 1, it's going to burn you out, you must have a rejuvenation plan in place, because you will use all of your energy every time we try season 1. So we have the basic elements of misbehavior, the addiction misbehavior of viewing pornography, sexually acting out, whatever is classified for you as an unacceptable behavior. This man is asking you to be in his life, so you have a right to the standards. Make a list also of the residuals: misrepresenting the truth, deflecting blame. So anything that supports the addiction, have that on your list as well, and just be the person who stands on the outside of the airplane with a friendly smile saying, I'm so glad you're working on this airplane, but I will not be getting in it until that's done. I will not be working on the marriage, but you can still be a pleasant roommate if they allow room for you to be. If they can't do verbal intimacy, then you should not be in their space. That's not safe. Verbal intimacy, remember, is just an environment of kindness. It's an environment of being able to talk about irrelevant things in a nice setting where you're not scared that you're going to get a bomb dropped on you just by talking. If we can't have that, there's no way we're going to get anything else. Here's the most important part, ladies. This is the mistake I see women making. Remember, stepping into season 1 is not the same as stepping into season 2. We're not going from cold distance and scariness to we're now fully connected to each other. You know how aggravating it is for the man to be impatient with physical intimacy. An extremely common thing I see with women is the impatience for emotional and psychological intimacy. Should we be doing these checklists together? Kind of. You are welcome to ask, have you gone through the list to check to see if you're ready for season 1? And double check yourself. Just like airplane pilots, every time you try to take off into season 1, go over the list again. If you or he is missing one item, then you need to go back to season 4. It's a horrible experience to be on the Pioneer Trail. You show up where you're supposed to meet, you don't have any clue where he's at, etc. You're not getting any messages in a bottle, you don't know what's going on, and so you're got God on the phone going, do I wait for him or move on without him? Do I wait for him or move on without him? If you feel insane in that situation, that would be normal. Well, what if he shows up tomorrow? What if he shows up the next day and I'm gone? I mean, you can leave a note. Here's where I'm headed. If you catch up to me before I find another man to be a real husband in my life, but if you don't, but that's between you and God. He's the only one that can tell you to wait or to move on without him. My heart is with you, ladies, because that is a horrifyingly agonizing decision to make.